Using your colorful papers to create a collage in the style of Eric Carle. Using your pencil drawing of the animal or plant of your choice as a guide, you will use your collage papers to start cutting and pasting those pieces to fit into your drawing to make a finished collage. For this, I would recommend getting out your oil pastels so that you can draw the shapes that you're planning to cut out, a pair of scissors, and we won't need this till the end, but you'll also need your liquid glue. Here we go. Have your oil pastels ready to rock and roll so that you can work on drawing the shapes that you plan to cut out for your collage. I like to use the papers that I'm going to cut, and I hold them close to the shape that I'm drawing to help me get it as accurate as possible. I can always trim my pieces down later, so it helps if you make the shapes a little bit larger than you think you might need. I'm going to start with my largest shapes first, knowing that I can always layer more color on top of those. You'll notice that I'm using oil pastels that are similar to the colors on my paper. That way, the lines that I use to draw the shapes that I'm cutting out won't necessarily show up too much. Right now, I'm laying everything out before I add any glue to make sure that I like the way it looks first. That way I can make changes if I need to, and nothing's permanent. You'll notice that I'm making some changes as I go. I originally started out with larger geometric shapes on my turtle shell, but I decided that I wanted to make them a little smaller. So I'm using the rest of my collage paper to add some more color to the shell. Once I'm ready to glue, I'm going to slide some of my pieces to the side. And going close to the edge, but not right on it, I'm going to use just a little bit of glue on the back side of my small paper that I'm gluing down. Since I know I'll be filling in the whole shell, I glued directly onto the paper there because the coffee filters are a little bit flimsier. But any small pieces I like to glue directly on the back side so that I don't have any glue seeping out of my edges. Notice that I'm gluing down each piece, and again, you need just a little bit. And I'm going to take my hands and make sure everything is pressed down so that it adheres to the paper. Now I'm going to take the rest of my scraps, and I'm just using the back side of one of my pieces of scrap paper instead of getting a whole new piece to create some of my white details. I'm going to finish adding up any pieces that I want to glue down. And once my glue is dry, I can take oil pastels and draw back in some details that I might want to incorporate. I really like the way the purple looked up against the green, so I created some purple outlines around the pieces on my shell by starting with red and then adding blue on top. You don't have to add things back in with the oil pastel, but as always, that's a choice. Here's a picture of my finished collage, knowing that tomorrow I'm going to add in a background.